Hey guys, how you doing? This is Travis. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Well, today we're taking a look at another one of these little golden oldies from the Mac Vault. What we have here is the second revision of the Power Macintosh G3 laptop. It's hard to believe that this laptop is coming up on 20 years, and in today's money, these cost anywhere between $3,500 and $5,000. So what we're going to do is take a look at it and see if there's any use for a laptop like this in 2018. All right, stay tuned. Here we go. Now, you may recognize this as a laptop very similar to the one used by Carrie Bradshaw in the series Sex and the City. The Power Macintosh G3, there were roughly 3 revisions of this laptop. The first was called the Wall Street, as its nickname. This model that you see right here is called the Lombard, or sometimes referred to as the bronze keyboard Macintosh Powerbook G3, and the other was called the Pismo. Now, I purchased this Powerbook G3 about 10 years ago. I think I paid about $125 for it, maybe $150. It is functional. We are going to show it off a little bit. It did come with a working battery, a few accessories, and so on. I did not get the Pismo model because at the time they were running about $400 to $500. It's an interesting market when it comes to these Powerbook G3s, but before we talk about that, let's just kind of run through the specifications for this laptop. We'll fire it up, show it off, and then just do some testing and see what you can actually do with it. Now, just right out of the box, this Powerbook G3, we'll just refer to it as the Lombard, as like I said before, that is the nickname. We're going to geek out here for a second. Featured 512K of backside level 2 cache, a PowerPC 750 G3 processor running at a blazing 333 megahertz, 64 megs of RAM, a 4 gigabyte hard drive, and came standard with a tray loading 24-speed CD-ROM drive, as well as an ATI Rage LT Pro graphics card running 8 megabytes of SRAM in a black case with a 14.1-inch TFT active matrix color display. As for the operating system, it came pre-installed with Mac OS 8.6, which was a pre-OS 10 OS. It does run OS 10. I can't tell you exactly how high of a version I have on this computer. When we plug it in and fire it up, we'll let you know. It does have a weight of 5.9 pounds, and the dimensions were 1.7 by 10.4 by 12.7. Again, original retail price was $24.99 without any options when this laptop first came out way back in 1999. Battery life was between 5 hours or 9 to 10 hours, depending if you were running 1 battery or 2 batteries, and we'll show off these little bays here in a second to show you how it works. One thing that I really love about these machines is just the modularity of the design. When you take out the keyboard, you have access to the RAM, you have access to the PRAM battery, which is something you need if you wanted to keep track of the date and the time. That PRAM battery does recharge itself while you're using the device, and those PRAM batteries are still available on eBay. So if you happen to buy one of these and it's not keeping the date or the time, go ahead and get one, and there are some easy to follow instructions online that show you how to do it. And like I said, I've completely disassembled this machine myself. It was not that hard. I don't think I needed any special tools to do it, and there's a lot of instructions online that teach you about that. Just real quick, taking a look at the screen here, on the right hand side it does have it does show the little Wi-Fi waves. It is turned on. Unfortunately, it's not picking anything up. I think it's just that the Wi-Fi in the house is so new, or it's such a different frequency. Like, it is picking up all the different networks in the neighborhood, including my own. And the airport is turned on, and it listed as a Broadcom 802.11b card bus. And then you can power off the card if you want to, and you can take the card out. So just leaving it in there just so you can see that the Wi-Fi would work if I had an older router, okay? Which might not be the most secure thing in the world. Just as for the actual operating system, you can see we're running OS 10. The specs on this model, about this Mac, and again, it is fairly speedy for what it is. We are running OS 10.2.8, and I don't know if that's the newest one that you could run on it or not. Okay, I am running 512 megabytes of RAM. I forgot. There are companies like otherworldcomputing.com. I think it's also listed as macsales.com. They make custom-made RAM for Macs, and they basically have pushed Macs to the limit of the RAM of what the operating system can recognize that Apple never actually released to the public. So I've got a 512 meg upgrade, which is 256 meg RAM sticks in it. And again, I'm not trying to be technical, but the point is, if you buy one of these, you can modify this so that it can still be a decent performer. This one does still have Microsoft Office on it. We've got Safari, we got Firefox, granted they're older limited versions. We've got Word, PowerPoint, we've got iTunes. I used to use this to stream music on because they had the old iTunes radio stations, which was pretty cool. Let's go into the app folder here just a little bit and see what we got. Again, I'm only down to 2.61 gigabytes of space that's available to it, but in terms of applications here, again, I apologize, this is as bright as the screen is going to get for us. The screen's not super bright, but it is usable. So just going through everything, I mean, if you want to be able to use some old retro programs, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, or you just want to fiddle around, you do have your Adobe suite. You've got Chess, The Clock, Firefox, iCal, iChat, Image Capture, iMovie, and some of these programs, I mean, well, actually, the majority of them still work. Internet Explorer, iPhoto, iTunes, Netscape, oh my God, Opera, Preview, Safari, Sherlock, Stickies, System Preferences, Text Edit, and then your usual utilities. And so it is very much in field, kind of like just like a lot of the more modern Macs that are out there. It's amazing how much they've changed and how much they actually have not changed. Like I said, my wife still actually uses this from time to time just to fill around on the computer, and it's kind of fun just to bust out the old retro machine just to have it around. Again, like I said, for price, you know, you can get yourself a parts version of this for, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks on eBay, sometimes 50 bucks, 40 bucks delivered. Working models will go anywhere between $75 and $125, depending on what you want to do with them or how complete they are and how much work they need. So from a production standpoint, they're still completely usable. I mean, especially a lot of these came with Microsoft Office, or they came with Word or PowerPoint. You can also buy older versions of Office too that are still usable. And again, this was I don't remember what year this was. Might have been like a 2000, maybe 8 or 2005 version I'm running on here. Can't even tell you. But again, you can still do quite a bit with it. So from a budget standpoint, makes a very good computer if you want to teach computer basics to a child. You know, I don't know. Kind of fun just to have around as a little retro piece. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go downstairs now. We're going to hook this up to the Ethernet connection, and we're going to see what we can do. Also, a cool feature of these, I believe they had a hot swappable battery where if your battery pack goes out, you could pop it out, put a new battery pack in, and it would resume where it left off. You could do that for a couple minutes before the battery would die. So a lot of cool features and definitely some innovative thinking for 1999. Okay, so let's go and plug into the internet and just see what we can do. Now, even to this day, nearly 20 years later, this computer still has a keyboard that is absolutely fantastic. It is just a joy to type on. It's solid. The key presses are nice and soft, yet they're resilient. There's no flex in the keyboard. It's a very solid build keyboard, and we cannot get rid of this machine because my wife still, to this day, likes to hammer out lines of HTML code on it using just a simple text editor, just for a little bit of some vintage feel. It is a very sturdy black, sleek design case. It does have kind of a rubberized finish in the center, which is really nice for texture, made it very easy to hold on to. Got the Apple logo that does glow. There were actually some people that have modified the case too that have gone and buffed this out and taken off the rubberized coating and colored it, and there were places that were customizing these at the time. Now, the rear port display, the I/O ports, we'll take care of that in a second. Here's your charging port over here. Okay, on this side over here, you had your PCM CIA Type 1, Type 2 card slot, if I'm not mistaken. And I have one of those cards to show you here in just a little bit. The real cool thing that I absolutely love about these computers, and you saw this a lot on the 90s laptops, were these modular bays. So what you do is you pull these little handles right here. Get this to work. Let's see here. There we go. And when you pull on the handles, your devices would pop out of the sides. They actually have kind of a little like spring cushion return on them, and they go back flush. And from there, you could pull out your CD-ROM drive. This is the 24-speed CD-ROM drive, okay? There were options for just a hollow shell just to fill the gap on the side. We'll show you that in a second. A second battery, a zip drive, a DVD drive if you decided to swap out the processor CPU board, which you can do, which also requires different RAM, and you can put in a 400 megahertz processor. The battery itself is not an original. The problem that I have with these batteries is they run about $40 to $50 on eBay, and they only last a couple of years, and then eventually they just go out. This one is lithium ion, but they just don't hold up well. Even if you leave them out, it still doesn't matter. They're just not good batteries. Supposedly you can get an original Mac battery and get it reconditioned so it does work again. I have not had a chance to do so. We've got a nice little latcher in the front that does have color matching, this button that you press that matches the keyboard, and you can see how sleek that is. It kind of looks like a 90s supercar. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain it. Cooling vents on the side, Kensington lock device. This is in case you had the larger expansion port, this little flap right here. So some devices were smaller, others were larger. This little flap would go down if you put your device in. You can see where you just simply go right into the port right there. There we go. You can see the inside of it. Now, I've actually completely disassembled this thing because it was having trouble charging. I thought it was actually the charging port, so I totally disassembled it, reassembled it. Nothing happened after I put in a new charging port card. It was actually the adapter. So if you get one of these and it comes with the original hockey puck adapter, they're basically a fire hazard in my opinion. What you should probably do is get rid of it or take it to recycling and get yourself just a little $15 or $20 adapter off eBay, which I think you're going to find is going to work a lot better. Okay, we showed you both sides of that, and again, there were status lights that would come up on these batteries when you put them in there. All right, now the I/O port, we're gonna go ahead and change the camera angle and just show this off to you real quick, because it is very cool what was featured on this machine all the way back in 1999. Okay, so just two things real quick before I forget. This is the bottom of the unit. You've got your 4 little rubber feet on here. It does have a rubberized texture. You do have an Apple logo on the bottom. That's similar to the lid. The unit itself does actually have the serial number and the build on it that tells you specifically what kind of components were included in it, which is really cool, so you know what it came with from the factory. Cooling vent over here. Okay, we're kind of hand shooting this one, but going from left to right, we got the microphone port, the headphone port, 2 USB ports. So even back in '99, we had USB. This is your Ethernet out port, not gigabit Ethernet, but still pretty fast. SSEI port, possibly. Some of these I'm not 100% familiar with because it's technology I haven't used in over a decade. S-video out, a lock, and I can't remember if that's to lock the keyboard so the keyboard doesn't come up or what that was for exactly. Your VGA monitor out, as well as a 56K modem hookup, dial-up, and a reset button down here, and I think that's pretty much it. Now, the one problem that you can run into in these sometimes, and this drives me nuts, but the only way to fix this is if I completely disassemble this machine. I can't just remove this panel and fix it. You've got these little spring hinges right here, and if you happen to flip it down or flip it up too quickly, the spring hinge can come unlocked, or it can just unhook from the side and flip back into the case. And then the little door will not fold up back flush. So you can see I got that bit of a gap right there. That's just a little bit annoying, okay? Just another little detail that I wanted to talk about was the Wi-Fi card. So this is a Motorola, let's see, wireless network adapter. It is G-rated for speed. I was able to use this thing up until about 2 years ago. The problem that you run into is that the type of encryption with the Max OS 10 version you can run on this, that type of encryption it's not a high enough security level for a lot of your wireless routers. So you cannot sign in, or it doesn't feature the right kind of encryption allowing you to join in on a network or enter your password to get onto a private network, etc. So even though the card works and technically it does bring up a Wi-Fi signal and it does detect networks, it's unable to connect. If I had an old like AB 802.11, I'm sorry, 902.11 router, there's a good chance I could still use this online wirelessly, but we are going to take it downstairs. We are going to plug it in with an Ethernet cable and fire it up and just see what the experience is like when you actually get it going. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it plugged in and get it powered up, and then we'll take it downstairs and see what it looks like online. Okay, hang tight. Oh yeah, real quick little bonus footage here. The infrared port, because at one point infrared was sort of becoming a standard, a way to wirelessly transmit data between devices, Mac laptops and so on. I was able to test this at one point with another Powerbook G3. We did successfully transfer some files just to fiddle around with it. And yeah, it does have that little IR sensor down there too. Alright, just to save you the time and the drama, Firefox, I could not go anywhere without a bunch of security certificate items popping up on the screen that were really bogging down the browser, so we'll just go ahead and fire up Safari. Again, fires right up. We're going to go to sign in. It might delay a little bit. We'll just see if we can even view something like Facebook or eBay or anything like that. Again, if you don't have access to the Google Suite, there's a lot of programs you can't use, although these machines had a lot of programs built into them. Also, something I forgot to mention about this, you can boot into OS 9 on this device too. It will actually dual boot for you, so you have an option to get into the older OS. So you can sign into Google. I'm not going to do that, but you can with your email account and then your password. Again, there's things that just don't pop up, and you can see how this can only render the HTML and the code at a certain level. And it's just simply not going to give you full access like what you're used to on a more modern machine. All right, let's just try Facebook and let's just see what happens. Who knows? Maybe it's going to bring up Facebook from 1999. I don't even know if I've gone to faceband.com. What in the... I have no clue. All right, facebook.com. All right, let's go check that out. And I keep getting this... Safari cannot verify the identity via website, so I don't know if it just simply can't handle the browser, but... Again, a lot of technical stuff that I usually don't deal with, even though I do quite a bit with app programming, etc. Yeah, let's see if it's finally going to let us over there. All right, so there is your Facebook experience, and I think we'll go ahead and just finish up with fun for eBay. Again, I'm terrified to think about what this stuff would even look like once we get logged into it. All right, again, but I love the screen on this thing, you know, the matte finish on it. I didn't mention the resolution yet. I can get those numbers to you real quick before we go ahead and go. Apologize, my cat's attacking me right now. All right, so ebay.com could not open the page. Ooh, man, could not establish a secure connection. So yeah, so we're going to be a little bit limited. So in terms of what you can actually do online, there might be some older, maybe legacy websites you can go to. There's probably some forums out there you can look at that'll give you a list of still usable websites. You know, you do have the Opera browser. It might give you a little bit better luck. But again, just wanted to show you what the internet looks like on this old of a machine. At one point, it was much more usable, especially when I bought it about 10 years ago. All right, let's go ahead and finish up with a few thoughts, and we'll go ahead and call it. Okay, so before I forget, you're looking at 1024 by 768 for screen resolution on the 14.1 inch TFT active matrix screen. So the Powerbook G3, you know, if you get yourself a Pismo, you might have a little bit better luck if you get the third revision of this, and they're listed as Lombard, Pismo, or Wall Street when you look them up on eBay. As for this, should you buy one? You know, if you want a conversation piece, if you're kind of a gadget junkie like I am, if you want something you can fiddle around with and tinker with, yeah, why not? Pick one up. Pick one up for 20 bucks. You can get all replacement parts on eBay with no issues, and other sellers online. You can get the hop-up parts for it if you want to put more RAM in, the upgraded processor, etc. If you get this model, you can get the DVD burner, or sorry, the DVD player like I mentioned before, with the 400 megahertz Apple upgrade card, and you just got to upgrade your RAM and you're set to go. So it is just a fun little machine. It just shows you that these old machines still have a lot of usability left in them, a lot of life left in them. If you want to do some work and you just don't want to be distracted, fire this up, open up Word or your WordPad or whatever you want, and just type away. Might be surprised how much work you can actually get done when you don't have a million bells and whistles and so on going off at you. So anyway, guys, this is the Macintosh Powerbook G3, the Lombard edition, second revision. Thank you for joining the channel today. We still have a few more vintage machines to show you, probably 3 or 4, and then after that, we'll continue with more technology reviews and so on. So guys, if you like what you see, please like or subscribe. Stay tuned to the channel. More content coming your way. In the meantime, guys, I want you to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.